how you got into the insurance business.
Most agents don't want to talk about sales. They don't want to hear that there's a sales problem. It's a lead problem. Always has been.
Right. Everybody complains about, oh, these leads are crap. But it's like, dude, you can take the best leads with no process and you're going to get no results.
Every deal is going to start the wrong way.
I don't think there's a right or a wrong way to build your business. There's just different ways.
Buckle up. It's the Insurance Dudes Podcast.
Boom!
Boom! Sean Matheis. How's it going,
Sean
man?
Matheis.
What's up, brother? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, we've been wanting to have you on for a long time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You're a well-known person in this industry.
It's been a while. We're going on 6 years now. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, before we dive in, why don't you tell us the very first concert that you went to? And way back, I mean, if it was Barney, then you have to say it.
Yeah, first concert I went to.
We haven't got a Barney yet.
And who was it? I want to say it was actually it was called Edge Fest in Dallas. They don't do it anymore. They still do it. It's just called something else. The station is called something else. But it was actually a bunch of different folks. There was I remember Offspring was there.
Oh, nice.
Godsmack was there. Let's see, there was like Sum 41 was there. Incubus was there. So there was a lot. It was a big first one. Yeah.
Like Incubus.
That had to be what, 96, 97?
Yeah,
maybe
I was
98?
probably 15, 16 years old. So a solid 20 years ago. That'd be
crazy.
That makes me old.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Now I feel
Craig was 60 at that point. So
yeah, I think that was around when I was into my 70s. So
the golden years.
I'm just getting ready to say that. Great mind.
Well, cool, Sean. Why don't you walk us through how you got into the insurance business? Take us all the way through, and then up to what you're doing now, and then we'll go into some other stuff.
Yeah. So it's actually been 10 years now that I've been in the industry, and I first started. I think I started getting licensed in 2009, and it was coming right off maybe it's 2008, coming right off the back of the real estate crash of 2008. I actually put myself through college as a real estate agent from 2005 to 2008, and then things started dipping, and I had a friend in the business, and I don't know if he even knows I tell this story, but he was with shelter insurance, and I was sending him all my business, and I was in his office one day, griping about the industry, and he said, "Dude, you should be in insurance. You'd be a great insurance agent." I was like, huh. So I got into it, looked at it, actually got licensed with Farmers. Farmers licensed me as part of their reserve program. I had an offer to go work for State Farm as a, what do you call it, sales rep for one of the agents. But at that time, my ego got in the way, and I was like, no, because I was a real estate agent. So I was like, no, I'm the agent. I want to be the agent. I don't want to work for an agent. So I went to Farmers, and then went through their training, and then I realized how much there was to learn, and I got kind of scared. I was like, man, this is a lot. Not only how to run a business, but then learn this insurance industry. Yeah. Maybe there's some method to the madness of going to work for somebody first. So then I went to do that, went back, pulled back on that deal with Farmers, went and worked as a team member. Decided I really liked it. At the time I was living in Missouri. I just finished college, and then I wanted to get back to Dallas. So they said, go to Dallas. Texas is a whole other animal. I was in Missouri at the time, so I went to Dallas. So a total of almost 4 years as a team member. Then I was ready to start my own book. But at that time, it was 2010. In the state of Texas, there was some lawsuits going on with Department of Insurance and State Farm back at that time. And there's just like a little bit of a weathering of a storm that needed to happen. And I didn't want to weather that storm as a team member anymore. I wanted to start my own book. Ended up going to Liberty Mutual, starting there. It's quite a different setup than most of your traditional agency opportunities. Great company, great benefits, made a great deal of money there. Just wasn't quite what I was envisioning for myself, because I really wanted to be a business owner, and I just wasn't there. So after about 3 years of that, my first year I was Rookie of the Year, outsold 1,500 other agents that year, did just over 700 items and $1 million in new business premium by myself. Wow. And then was number 2 in Texas, number 5 in the country, stayed at the top there. And then ultimately in 2014 is what brought me to the marketing industry. At the time I had some stuff going on with the television show called $1 Million Listing New York and LA. We were doing speaking engagements, and I kind of helped them build mastermind programs and webinars with showing them how to monetize their fan base. Apparently I was supposed to disclose that as part of my employment contract with Liberty. They didn't like it. They gave me an ultimatum. So I was like, you know what? I can always be an insurance agent. This is a once in a lifetime deal. I'm going to do this and let that go. And then that's kind of where the coaching program for insurance agents came out of was, well, you know, I knew the TV show thing was only going to be so long because, you know, once the show ended, then that's it. So I built the program because I was like, obviously I know a little something that other agents don't know about marketing and generating leads, and decided to launch the Agency Alliance Mastermind back in 2014. And that's how I got into the marketing side of things.
That's awesome, man. Wow. So how was that experience with $1 million listing?
Yeah, it was really cool. You know, it started because at the time I was really working with a lot of mortgage lenders and realtors, and I had my own networking group. So you're familiar with probably like a BNI or a Rotary or something like that. Well, I started my own because I couldn't find a spot as an insurance agent, and that's oftentimes the issue with those types of groups is there's no spots. So I was going to, you know, BNI said, well, you can start a chapter of ours, and I was like, well, if I'm going to start a chapter, I'll just start my own. So I started something called North Texas Area Professionals. We ended up growing that thing to 8 chapters within the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We had about 120 members. And then we would do monthly happy hours as like a way to recruit and then bring all of our groups together once a month. Well, there's another group that was called Real Estate A-Listers. They call Real Networking, REAL, Real Estate A-Listers. And they had their events were awesome. Red carpet, videographers, like it was a big deal, and all the realtors were going. So I told this guy, I still had a big following, and I was tried to do something at the end of the year so that we didn't compete, his group and my group, for a holiday. And I said, let's do something together. He told me no. He said he didn't want to taint his brand. And so I took offense to that. And I said, okay, you don't want to taint your brand. So I went out and I was like, I want to get more realtors to my event. So I started, at the time this TV show was going on, I started literally cold calling the cast members and was trying to get them to come to my event. What do I got to do? What do I got to pay you? How do we get this to happen? Long story short, I got Madison Hildebrand from LA to bite on it. He did the first event with me, flew him out to Dallas. I purposely scheduled the event the day before the Real Estate A-Listers event that year in Dallas. So his was on like the 19th and mine was on the 18th. And obviously, you know, if you're going to do a real estate event, you're going to go to the one with this cast member. At the time, the show was really hot. It was on season 3. Everybody loved it. It was a huge hit. And so I was like, let's do it again. And then I just kind of worked my way through the cast members. Once you got one, then they were friends with the other. They're like, yeah, he's legit. And then, you know, just kind of built a company around it, honestly. And then we started doing it all over the country. So it was pretty cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Is that show still around?
Yeah, believe it or not. Yeah.
Are you still doing that?
Yeah, no. NBC, after we got a little bigger, NBC got a hold of me, and yeah, I didn't want to go down that lawsuit battle with them because at the time I was calling it $1 Million Mixers, and they said using their cast members and the words $1 million were infringing upon their copyrights. I said, okay,
I'll
call it. It's very clever.
Yeah. So I went from $1 Million Mixer to I don't know, some other million something. But then they kept hassling me. I guess, you know, the bigger we got, the more NBC wanted money. And so we just ended up having to let it go. But it was fun. This is about 2 years that 2 years strong that we did it. And it was really cool to get to go on the set, stuff like that.
When was this?
This was 2013, end of 13, all the way through 14, about
pre-Instagram.
Mid 15. Yeah.
Which is interesting. This is like the real life version of Instagram, what you're doing. Now they do this stuff on Instagram instead, right? Monetize an audience or build an audience, then monetize it.
Yep. So we would host webinars and, you know, coaching at the time I didn't have a coaching program because I was still selling insurance. But I had some people in the coaching business, and I was telling these guys, like, look, man, you guys, like, people will pay to learn from you. And to them, they were just regular people like, you and I. And the fact they were mind blown when they saw these events that I put together and people standing in line to get photo ops. Like, I don't think at the time the celebrity had really sunk in with them, that they were actually celebrities. And so it was really cool to kind of see and them be kind of taken aback by it all. And the idea that they could, charge $49 and have a webinar and 200 people from around the world in the real estate industry sign up was foreign to them. So it was pretty neat.
It's crazy. It still is foreign to a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like, we all, like us, we all know, every industry has it now, the groups that do that. But yeah, it's crazy. It is pretty mind blowing on how much you can make. You don't even have to have that big of an audience either.
Really don't. That's what I told them. By the time I got them to do the coaching stuff, I had already launched mine. So I knew that, that was my biggest fear, was who's going to listen to me? I'm not a published author. Nobody really knows me outside of the Liberty Mutual world. So, like, it was a big risk, but obviously it was successful. And I told them, look, I've got like 1,200 followers at the time. And if I can do this, you guys have 150,000 followers at the time. Right. You guys will kill it.
So walk through that, because I think it's real important, and overcoming fear, because I think this is what holds most people back from doing anything or becoming successful is that fear. Like, people are going to think I'm an idiot, or I'm going to say the wrong thing. All these things that when you were a kid, you didn't care about. And now for some reason we do. Right. I mean, obviously Jason and I don't, otherwise we wouldn't be doing this. Step through that, overcoming that fear.
For me, I think part of it was fear, and then part of it was just an element of humility. I think and the unknown. When as a captive agent, you get so locked into what's going on in your world within that company that you don't really know how other companies are operating or what other people are doing. So, like, social media has kind of opened up now to, before, 10 years ago, you didn't have the access to know what good really meant. You knew, hey, you might be good in your district or at your company. So part of it was just like, what if this may be great here, but what if that is, small time anywhere else, and my stats are no good. So I think it's part of the unknown. But I think the biggest thing is with video. I've been teaching people to do video since 2013, and people are still afraid to get on and do video. And I think the biggest thing to doing is just to do it, just to not worry about, there's always going to be people that are going to, say something negative. It doesn't matter what you say. It could be the most positive thing in the world, and it's going to piss somebody off. Somebody's going to laugh at you. Somebody's going to do something. And it took a little bit of getting used to. I remember the very first video I put out. It was the worst video production wise. Like, the lighting was bad. I was in my car. The way the light from the mirror was hitting, it made my teeth look yellow because it was like a yellow light. And there was like this gloss on my teeth, and I had cotton mouth. And I remember doing this, like, in the video, I did that. It was so terrible, but that's awesome. I got it out, and it was, the more people that were talking crap about it, the more viral the video went. It went for about 72 hours. And I did about $8,000 in sales in that 72 hours before I got my first cease and desist letter from State Farm for doing it. I was basically calling them out because I had just the working knowledge of it. And the premise of the video, I called it the State Farm Smackdown. The premise of the video was basically calling out agents who are buying these terrible internet leads and feeding them to their staffs. And then they wonder why morale is so low and why people are turning over when they're feeding their team garbage that they themselves wouldn't even pick up the phone and call because they know the lead's no good. So don't expect your team to do it. And so I was like, if you're a team member and your agent's feeding you these terrible leads, tag them. And so it was pretty good, but it took an element of fear of just saying, who cares, man, just do it. Like, you got to do it. And so just doing it the first time, and then just getting used to the hate that comes with, trying to get out there and be innovative.
Yep. So let's talk about the leads and your process for getting the leads. Where did you develop your process? And take us through that journey.
Really it was out of not out of necessity, but after my first 6 months in the business, I did everything that everybody else does. I did the networking events, I did the cold calls, long nights, the friends and family deal, and purchasing leads. And I was ready to quit. I was like, this job sucks, man. Like, there's nothing fun about building an agency from scratch, at least doing it that way.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to figure out something else, because I can't go into work like this every day and just get told no all day long. And when you have no clients and you're just doing sales, you're just pounding phones and trying to find something and make something happen. And at that time, that's, social media just started kind of coming on the scenes. Ads manager was a new thing. And so I started going to and learning how to use Facebook, and seeing if there's a better way to reach people outside of this, what's traditional. And I saw all these different targeting filters, and I was like, man, there's like, my audience is in here. I can specifically target them. Now I just got to figure out how to put it together in a way that's going to convert it and get a quote request out of it. And so it's really just a way of seeing that it was going to be something that was important that nobody else was doing. And if I could figure it out, I might just have something worth hanging on to. And it turns out I did. It worked out.
How did you find that it started working? What was it? Was just you were good at the targeting, you were good at the copy, like what?
Yeah. So, I think a lot of it is really kind of understanding the consumer mindset. I kind of took a shortcut because at Liberty Mutual, they have this thing called an affinity program. I think some other carriers have it too, but you can get discounts to people for different job titles or places of employment and things like that. And I saw that those things are available. So like a big one is they have basically every D1 alumni. If you went to college at a D1 school, they have a specific, your alumni has an agreement with Liberty Corporate. And so I was able to target those people. And I knew that one of the things that we did was go around to, these fire departments or whatever and tell them about the discount. So I was like, well, what if I just tell them about the discount online, and I can avoid the driving around town or cold calling, and just basically let this ad serve as the cold call. And I thought, what would I say if I had one sentence to tell somebody about this affinity discount? What would that sentence be? And then I just popped it in there, and it worked. They responded.
Love it. That's awesome, man.
So that's how I started, was just using what I already had. I think that's what a lot of people, forget. Like, there's so much opportunity. There's so many tools at our disposal. People miss the easy shit. Like, Facebook recommendations. You could go on Facebook and type in insurance recommendations in the search bar, and you'll pull up a laundry list of people that are either in your network or friends of friends who've asked for an insurance recommendation. And people do it all day, every day. Hey, my insurance went up. Who do you guys recommend for insurance? Boom, they get like 150 comments. So you can search that out for free on Facebook, and nobody does it. Like, you tell somebody that and they're like, wow, I never thought about that. It's like the stuff that's so easy. And I think a lot of it is people they forget how hard it was before this technology and social media to reach people.
Right.
And now you can do thousands of people a day, tens of thousands of people a day for free, if you just put in the work and learn how to use the platform. But people just don't do it.
The yellow pages was the thing, like, isn't that crazy? Like, people would fight over having the big yellow page ad.
Yep. Dude, that's so funny. Like, I've never thought about just searching that phrase, but it's so obvious that it's crazy.
Yeah. And I think, awesome what I do like about that, but when it first came out is, it was kind of a hidden thing, but now they have a whole like recommendation section. My thought is, and I don't have any facts behind this or any data or any research, but my theory is that they will soon monetize the recommendation section as they build it and more people use it. Right now, if you ask for a recommendation, it automatically puts that box on there and pops you into that section. But I think they're going to use it as a great place to monetize recommendations and things like that, and have like featured people in certain categories. I mean, if I'm Mark Zuckerberg, I would, but it's
Totally.
a great tool and resource. It's easy to use. And that's what I like to try to tell people when I first start working with, like, let's see what you're doing now and where are we missing low-hanging fruit? What's the easiest, the path of least resistance to start getting results today so that we can start to build a long-term future? Because so many agents don't have anything going on. They're in the day-to-day grind. Like, they have to go in the office today and find a deal today because they didn't have anything that's bringing something in from no seeds planted the week before, the months before. So it's just a day-to-day hustle for so many people. And so if we can at least get them out of that mindset, you could start to build longer-term plans and start to build a well-oiled machine, I think.
Yeah.
Now's the best. What's in front of you? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Especially with what's going on now, it's like now you have the time. B, everybody's on the freaking internet, like
everybody
tenfold.
else has the time.
Yeah,
they're sitting there. They're on Facebook right now.
Yep.
Or
what?
MySpace.
Yeah,
for me, 'cause I'm older.
MySpace. Remember Friendster? Were you on that?
Friendster? No.
Pre MySpace.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Well, no, it was. It was like Facebook. I mean, it was, but you had to like remember how Facebook was. You had to know someone to get into it. That's how Friendster was. Yeah, Friendster was just like that. Cool, man. So so interesting. What other nuggets do you have as far as like low hanging fruit, maybe to get some agents interested and kind of see what this kind of world's about and show them what internet marketing can do for them?
Yeah. So, I think what I've learned over the last 5-6 years, I worked with thousands of agents and I think the biggest, like, I've learned more in the last 12 to 18 months since we recently developed our own marketing automation platform. And so we watched hundreds of thousands of leads go through, sales process and follow-up journeys and tracked all their movements. And so we've got just an enormous amount of data. And something that I didn't do when I was selling that I would have, if I could have redone something, I would have learned more about the consumer behaviors and what motivates people to drive, what motivates people to buy insurance, like how the consumer thinks and what's going to make them respond. Because ultimately, I'm of the belief now there's no right or wrong way. If you would have asked me 2-3 years ago, I would have said the best way or the right way to market is to use social media and online. And fast forward today, I don't think there's a right or wrong way to generate a lead. I don't think there's a right or a wrong way to build your business. There's just different ways. And you're going to get different results. So if you give me 1,000 people in a database, you can cold call that database, you can mail that database, you can run ads to that database, you can go knock on their door. There's any number of ways that you can work it. As long as you're working it, you're going to get results. So as far as low-hanging fruit, I would first establish, okay, what tools and resources do I have? It surprises the hell out of me today how many people don't have a database. Like if I said, give me 1,000 people that I can work, they don't have it. Or if they do, they don't know how to access it. And so first and foremost, you have to get, like, if you were to go and if you're going to give your list of people to call, how do you have that in a format? You got to get it, like, put it in an Excel format, have your database so you at least know how many people are at your fingertips. And then from there, you can establish what is the best way to work this. Is it to call them? Is it to mail them? Is it to go knock on their door? What am I going to do? But have it, and you got to put something in place to start working that database. Because the thing that I've learned is that if you have 1,000 people, there's going to be at any given time 10 to 15% of people that are interested at some level, whether it's willing to hear you, not hang up on your face, like they will visit your website, open an email. At some level, 10 to 15% at any given time will at least hear you. 85 to 90% they don't want to hear you. They don't want it. And then between 1 and 3% are going to take a quote at any given time in your database. So it doesn't matter how you reach that person. That's going to be, like I said, after watching hundreds of thousands of people, that's the law of large numbers says that 1 to 3% of people at any given time you'll reach that will ask for a quote. So if you scale that out and we say, okay, I'm going to cold call my list. Okay. So for every 100 dials, you're probably going to reach 10, and you'll get 1 or 3, between 1 and 3 to say yes to a quote for every 100 dials. Now, you can do that also with mail. You could do that also with digital marketing, automation, emails, text. However you do it, doesn't matter. You're going to see those same type of results play out. So, put something in place to establish who you already have in front of you, because that's your path of least resistance. Instead of spending more money to get somebody new in, you got to start working what you already have and keep something in front of them at all times. And then you can add on. But what I tell people is, if you don't have a process in place, you don't have some sort of workflow, or, hey, when I get a lead, this is what happens definitively, whether it's you, your team member, or whatever, it should be a uniformed, systematic approach to how a lead gets worked and how they get followed up with. And then from there, you can start piling new leads on. But if you don't have a foundation or a process that you're going to use to follow up and maintain yourself, maintain these relationships with these leads, you're just piling shit on top of shit, and it's not going to work. So there's no reason to continue buying more leads when you don't have a system or an ecosystem to put them in. You're just,
that's a great point, because you can have and what everybody complains about, oh, these leads are crap. But it's like, dude, you can take the best leads with no process and you're going to get no results. Yeah. You might sell 1 or 2 policies, but you're never going to get great results without a process.
Not even going to sell 1 or 2. I mean, literally, because look at those numbers that Sean went through, right? If 1 to 3% is going to say yes to the quote, well, what's your closing rate on an internet lead? Is that 4%? Well, shoot. So you're going to get 4% of the 1%. So, I mean, you got to send out a lot of stuff, right? Or take a lot of leads. I mean, yeah, it's amazing. But it really does come down just to the numbers, and depending on what systems you're using. Like, we have a system that works really well where we get good analytics, right? So, okay, we know where it's going. We know where the customer journey, where it ends up. We're looking at all these things, and it gives us a huge advantage over the guy down the street that's plugging his leads into an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, I know you've been doing this long enough. You've talked to enough agents where some of them, the Excel spreadsheet is actually pretty good technology compared to, there's people with the paper, right? And you're like, dude, what? Like, you can't get results that way.
I've got a client who he printed out, he's got a filing cabinet. And over the last 15 years, he prints out the lead, and they're in alphabetical order.
Well, at least they're alphabetized.
Yeah. And then he's
why alphabetized?
And then, and he's got them, some of them by X date. He's got X date files. He's got alphabetical files. So.
If he's listening, sorry, I'm laughing, but it's like,
it's real world.
Yeah. What's the benefit of alphabetizing some leads and putting them in? But this is an important distinction, is people will make themselves busy because they think that they're doing something that is, hey, I was super busy today. What were you doing? Alphabetizing my printed out internet leads.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what was the result of that? Well, they're now not on my desk. They're in the file cabinet, right? Like, they're never going to sell.
Yeah.
And so, focusing on doing the right activity to get to the desired result is what's important.
Yeah. It all comes down to, like you said, the numbers and the data, and most people don't have it. Even your captive companies where you've got access to that type of information, they still don't know it. I mean, and you have to know you got to know what your sales process is. How many times am I going to call them? How many times, is it going to take before I get the first appointment? How many follow-ups after that? What does that real life sales process look like? And I think people just get a lead, they'll work it a couple times, and it's very arbitrary. They don't know that, hey, the last 10 sales that we've done, we on average called them 8 times to get the first appointment and 4 times after to close it. So they just call it a few times, and I don't know, because it's Wednesday, decide this is not a good lead anymore and put it off. And it's kind of, I fault a lot of the agency owners. There's so many agency owners that are disconnected. They don't understand the day-to-day. They don't know really what their team's going through. And so that boils down to lack of leadership. Like if your team doesn't have that, it's because you didn't provide it to them. And unfortunately, I think a lot of the agency owners are run by team members, and the team members, I guess for lack of a better term, have their agents by the balls. It's hard to find good help. It's hard to get somebody licensed, and an agent would rather sit on dead weight that they know needs to go, but they don't want to go through the hassle of not having that person and having to hire somebody else. So having a little extra workload and then going and finding and licensing somebody else. They would rather just sit on 2-3 team members that are marginal at best and then blame it on a lead provider and just figure, well, we just got to find the right lead provider. And these team members have been spoiled for the last 10, 15 years of, I don't have to have a follow-up process. I don't have to learn how to sell. Right. Why? Because he'll just buy another lead. And I'll just get the ones that are easy, layup deals. And if you actually look, I mean, I think that insurance has all but lost any sort of sales mentality in the industry. Right. Very much an order-taking industry, and a bunch of people who really belong in customer service or administrative somewhere. And they're not
totally.
Yeah. Our sales meetings, we do one in the morning, we do one in the afternoon. I know Jason does that too, but it's constant to talk about, look, it doesn't matter who it is, they are focused on price, and we have to convert their thinking to the way that we do it here, because it's going to help them, it's going to serve their need. But if you don't do that, then it will always gravitate back to the order taking. Right? Because that's the way the prospect expects to be sold. And that's the way that they've never been trained on sales. So that's the way that they sell, right? It's the perfect marriage, because they just do it the way that it's expected to be done. And everybody, then you close 3% and you cry about it. And, in order to move the needle, you have to change that conversation. But they have to be passionate about it. They have to help. They have to recognize that every deal is going to start the wrong way. Yep. Right? They're not going to come to you and say, hey, look, will you tell me the value that your company has? And will you explain why I need higher coverages than the state minimum, because I really hate insurance, and can you take longer? It's just they're never going to ask for the thing that we need to deliver. And so, that's where the finesse and it's training, it's constant training, constant. But then where marketers like yourself and smart agents that also are good at marketing by going to courses like yours can benefit is then you're finding the perfect avatar, right? You're looking for the ideal client who is going to be more receptive to this way of thinking. The college kid with state minimum, that's going to be a harder discussion. So why are we targeting them, right? The shotgun approach isn't the best way.
No, I mean, you make some really good points. I think that what you said I kind of like the most is, they're buying on price and your agents are selling on price. And I think that's the key, is that you can't fault the consumer for buying on price, because that's what every company has ingrained into the consumer's brain, is that all that matters is that we can save you 15%, 15 cents. That's what matters. And so that's what the consumer has been trained to believe is important. But that's the industry's fault. And you by yourself as an agent, you aren't going to have the power to change that, because it's just too big of an industry. So you can only play that game to get them in front of you. Once you have the conversation, and then it's on you no longer to sell price. I had a guy working with a company that we can't mention, but he says that these people are all focused on price. All of the leads are focused on price, and they're just not competitive. Same company, I showed him the comments from a campaign in his market with the same exact targeting, and a comment on the ad was somebody from Geico, and she said that she had switched to this other company who we were running the ads for, and was able to get towing. She was able to get rental car coverage, and went from $1,000 to a $500 deductible. And she said it only cost her $20 more a month. And so that she went publicly and said this on the ad. And so I was like, this is somebody, who specifically said that she was excited to pay more because she got rental car coverage, which she didn't have. She got towing, which she didn't have. And she had a $500 deductible now instead of $1,000. And she was stoked about that. So obviously that agent sold them correctly. versus you see that they're with Geico and they're paying less, and you're like, oh, well, I'm 30% more. I'm not going to sell this. And I've heard people, we have recorded phone conversations at some of these sales calls, and an agent literally said when they quoted it before they delivered the number to the customer, like, oh man, this is a terrible rate. I mean, told the customer. So, yeah, like, right. What are we doing?
Yeah. It's unacceptable, right? But that's a lack of training, and the fish rots from the head. So if the leader if this isn't part of the company culture, then it's never going to change, right? And it starts with those meetings. You got to have those meetings in the morning. You got to have the meetings in the afternoon. I just got a message in our messaging system from one of my guys. He said, I just got a sale off Build-A-Wall, moving somebody from 2,550 to 2,500. It just came on my other screen. And it's like, that was more, right? But he created the need by asking the right questions and put them in the right situation. And it, by design, it gets them a little pissed off at their current company, right? Because it's like, well, you have a big gap. What are you doing? And so here he is, just moved him. So I can't wait to get that call.
They buy what you sell. They buy what you sell. So if you sell price, they're going to buy price. If you sell value, they're going to buy value.
Yeah, 100%. So tell us about. Oh, I'm sorry, man. I cut you off.
I was saying, most agents don't want to talk about sales. They don't want to hear that there's a sales problem. It's a lead problem. Always has been.
Right.
It's blaming the wrong thing. Yeah. Because the leads are the leads. It's a name with a number, and they have cars and they need insurance. I mean, it doesn't change.
That's all you can expect.
There's no Glenn Ross leads here. So, so let's talk about your program. Do you have a course that tells people how to design ads, or
yeah, we've got we have a ton of courses. Last year or maybe 18 months ago, I really am not as involved with the coaching side as I used to be. It's more digital products at this point. I don't spend a whole lot of time actually teaching people how to do it. The courses are there. If you can read an instruction manual, you can learn how to do it. We have a marketing agency now. We work based on retainer, and we basically do everything for the agents. We just found a lot better success that way because if an agent is trying to learn how to run campaigns and learn the whole marketing thing, it changes so fast. I mean, like, there's times where I'll put out a program and 2-3 days after, everything changed and I got to re-record the whole thing. So it's like it's changing so often right now that it's really tough to keep up with if marketing's not your full-time gig. And so we more focus on our retainer clients. And for those that, we still have, I don't know, maybe 100 or 150 people still paying for the digital product access, but it's not coaching anymore per se.
Okay. Well, cool. So Sean, how do people find you, or where, what should we put in the show notes that,
if you want to learn more about what we do at the marketing agency, just go to surefiredigitalmedia.com. And then, you can check out insuranceleadgenie.com as well. Learn more about the automation tools and some of the websites and stuff that we do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good groups out there that you guys can join. Do you guys have a Facebook group?
We do.
Yeah. Join their Facebook group. Just get plugged in, man. That's what I would say. Stay away from groups where there's a lot of trash talking and nonsense going on. But there's a lot of productive insurance groups that are out there.
Mm-hmm. Ton of them.
I'd be careful with where you put your money. The one thing I can say about this industry is there's a lot of trap doors. There's a lot of fluff. There's a lot of regurgitated material these days going around. So really just kind of check out the source, and you'd be surprised at what you can learn for free. I'm all about maximizing, what you're able to do to, just learn the platforms, learn the audience, see what's available. It's really not hard to do. It really is not hard to do if you want to invest the time. I personally would say delegation is key. Just like you can't be on every sales call, just hire somebody out, man. Hire an accountant. Don't waste time doing your books. Hire good salespeople, hire service people, hire a marketing company, and hire lawyers. Don't Don't mess with that stuff so that you can focus working on the business, and try not to work in the business if you're in a position that you can do that. Train your staff, get rid of dead weight, and focus on low-hanging fruit.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it, Sean.
You basically answered the final question.
Yeah.
Which is, what advice would you get? What's the one piece of advice? And there you go. That was all the advice.
All of it. That's all you need. Yeah. Don't complicate it, man. Just, think of what I always say is think of, I try to put an analogy in anything. So, if you look at sending an email, that's the equivalent of a mailer. Like, however your brain currently operates, if you're a mailer, if you're a cold caller, or if you're a live transfer person, like whatever it is that you do to generate your business, there's a corresponding, digital way to do that. And it's not that digital's better. It's just a little bit more efficient and cost effective. A friend request is like bumping into somebody, and it's a virtual handshake at a networking event. A message is like an elevator pitch. If you message somebody on Facebook, if you look at the recommendations, it's a great place to go. Sending an email is like sending a physical mail. It's just a virtual mailbox. A video message, that's like a cold call. So if you can get that in front of 1,000 people, you just made 1,000 sales calls. You're probably going to get hung up on and deleted and moved on by most of them, but your video is there forever. And every time it's played, it's a new sales call to your audience. And so just kind of think in terms of that, and look at how you can expand what you're already doing by using technology and different tools like that.
That's awesome.
Love it.
There's such a
Great
huge
advice.
There's such huge value in that list, right? In your list. And we buy all these leads, right? All these leads, whether it's Facebook leads or YouTube leads or internet leads or whatever, right? But we have the email. And so we're developing a list, and then it will just sit over there. And it's such a huge thing to take advantage of, because you're, like you said, I mean, you blast out 100,000 emails, you're going to get 1%. And so huge value there. So Sean, thanks so much for coming on. Really good
Thanks,
to meet
guys.
you.
Appreciate it.
Anthony told me to say hi.
Oh. Aguilar?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Well, cool.
Yeah, that was awesome. Great advice throughout the whole time. So that was, thank you.
Really good to meet you, man. And I'll see you on the Facebook.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
All right, Sean.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good one, Sean. Take care.
Hey, you've got to check out the Insurance Dudes Inner Circle coming soon, where you get extended interviews as well as live coffee talks in our private Facebook group. Join the mailing list today at theinsurancedudespodcast.com. Hey, thanks for checking out the Insurance Dudes. Hey, please subscribe. We got some really great stuff coming out.